some Major League Baseball action on this Wednesday, DRS, and some day baseball to get ready for as well. All 30 clubs in action, a 15-game full slate on this Wednesday, and a huge, huge moment for the Atlanta Braves today in Toronto. Spencer Strider makes his return in his season debut for Atlanta. They're a road favorite up in the 6 against the Blue Jays. What can we expect out of Spencer Strider making his season debut in 2025?
Yeah, that's the tough part. The one thing that we do like is we saw his evolution here, getting those warm-up starts down in spring training and or in the minor league baseball system, and Strider looked every bit the part. But also understand this, Schwellenbach came in good form yesterday, going up against that Toronto Blue Jays roster. Didn't look all that great yesterday, and against a lineup that you can basically have right now because Toronto hasn't been a great hitting lineup. Strider doesn't have any statistics. Last year, only 42 batters faced. You are expecting a good performance also, but is he on a pitch count at this point, which we'll probably get a feel for a little bit later in the day. Opposite side, Chris Bassett last year had an average season, 73 batters he's faced this season. Just trying to take a look to see where Bassett actually winds up today on the card. Actually, take a look at this. 25 pitchers on the card today with at least, one start this season so far. 7.04 is the xFIP of the worst guy on the card. It's Patrick Corbin. The best guy with his xFIP through 18 and a third innings, it's actually Chris Bassett at 2.63 today. So two pitchers here. You're expecting a good performance at a Strider. Bassett has been solid so far this year. So why not an under of the 7.5 in this game between the Braves and the Blue Jays in the return of Spencer Strider?
Yeah, yesterday we did see some runs, as DRS shared. Spencer Schwellenbach, who in 3 starts and 20 innings of work had only allowed 1 earned run entering yesterday's outing against the Blue Jays, responsible for all 6 runs Toronto did score. Also, not just day baseball, but the rubber match of this 3-game set for Spencer Strider. 5.5 is the K-prop. The over has the juice. He looked great in minor league starts. He looked great in spring training for Atlanta. Just 2 starts early last year, DRS, before an elbow injury sidelined him for the remainder of 2024. He did enter the 2024 season as that opening day favorite to win the National League Cy Young Award. We'll see what he has for a Braves team still stuck on just 5 wins, 5-12 this season. Another return to a starting staff for Clarke Schmidt. He gets the nod today for the Yankees. And the Yankees, outside of Max Fried, need some help in that starting rotation as well. The Yanks hoping for the sweep against the Kansas City Royals, as today at home they're a -154 favorite against KC. Not a ton of offense so far for the Royals this week up in the Bronx. Jason Dominguez doing what he can for the Yankees yesterday as they beat the Royals 4-2. Over-under stands at 8.5. Donnie, what's your thought for Schmidt's debut in this matchup today in the Bronx?
Yeah, 48 degrees at first pitch, 12-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to right field, which you do like that. But Chris Bubich has been very good on the season this year. 18 and 2/3 innings pitched. How about an ERA under 1 and an xFIP number of 298? Now, here's where push comes to shove. You look at that Yankees lineup that's going to settle up tonight. They have been absolutely sensational with their power numbers against left-handed pitching. Goldschmidt, 286 ISO. Rice, 300. Judge, 722. Bellinger, 231. Volpe, 304. Chisholm, 167. Wells, 250. Grisham, 273. Just to go over 8 of the 9 starters in that lineup today. You flip it over to the other side and say, okay, Clarke Schmidt, you're going to trust him in his first start. This is also a team against right-handed pitching, talking about the Royals, that hasn't got untracked yet in 2025 yet. I hate to do an under in the Bronx, but was yesterday, maybe again today.
It's been in the first 2 games of this 3-game set. More around MLB next. A couple of returns today on the bump. Spencer Strider makes his season debut after an elbow injury put him on the shelf. Only 2 starts into 2024 a year ago. He starts today for the Braves on the road in Toronto. Clarke Schmidt makes his return. 16 starts last year for the Yankees, a 2.85 ERA. Donnie, it's a good news for the Yanks, of course, who during spring training dealt with some bad injury news. Garrett Cole out for the year. Giancarlo Stanton hasn't played just yet. Clarke Schmidt on the shelf. He is back today. The Yankees looking for a 3-game sweep over the Kansas City Royals. And oh, by the way, really Max Fried yesterday, off to a 3-0 start now as the newest New York Yankee with a 1.88 ERA. He's the only guy in the starting rotation this year for the Yanks with a sub-5 ERA to begin. Good news to get Clarke Schmidt back. The San Diego Padres home win streak to start the year is snapped at 11. Yesterday in extras in 10 innings, the Chicago Cubs hand the Padres their first home L of the season, 2-1, courtesy of a game-winning RBI triple from Nico Horner in extras. Can San Diego get back in the win column at home? Some day baseball at Petco. It's the Padres and the Cubbies in San Diego, an ever so slight favorite, minus 122 on that money line. Total stands at 7.5. What do you like here in the rubber match today in San Diego?
You take a look at those 7.5s, identical to what you saw last night, which easily stayed on the under, and also that game went into extra innings. Pitching, Pivetta is on the mound today. Why do we bring that up? 17 innings so far on this young season for Pivetta. How about a 1.59 ERA, which actually is translating to a 2.96 xFIP, which is really, really good. You look at the lineup today, or at least the anticipated lineup for the Chicago Cubs, Tucker, Bush, Crow Armstrong, and Miguel Amaya have very good statistics, ISO power number, and power-wise with weighted on base percentages against right-handed pitching. The rest leaves a little bit to be desired. You flip it over to the other side, Boyd, who comes into this game with decent statistics also through his 17 innings pitched, a 1.59 ERA, but a slightly elevated xFIP number of 4.22. You look at the lineup, however, for the Padres, it doesn't face all that much left-handed pitching and hasn't done all of that all well. So a day game out there at Petco, which usually the ball travels a little bit better than at night, I'm still going to lean on the under 7.5 like we saw last night. Two decent pitchers, two lineups that don't present themselves all that well. I don't know if we get to 8 runs, therefore I'll lean undersize.
Yeah, a big bounce-back win last night, DRS, for your Philadelphia Phillies. Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto really leading the offensive charge for the Phils to even up their midweek set against the San Francisco Giants today inside Citizen Bank Ballpark. We've got Aaron Nola on the mound for the Phils against Robbie Ray and SF, minus 146 in favor of Philadelphia. Total stands at 7.5. What's the play in Philly?
Yeah, trusting Aaron Nola in this spot tonight might be a little bit of a danger zone. Why? You take a look at him on the season through his 16 2/3 innings pitch, or 16 1/3 innings pitch, about a 5.50 ERA. Not very good, but his xFIP is much lower at 3.63. You take a look at that San Francisco lineup today as it looks. Willie Adames and Patrick Bailey, only ones that are underperforming against right-handed pitching. Everybody else has really good numbers, and that should help. Now, the old wild card of this one is going to be Robbie Ray, because you look at his statistics through 15 1/3 innings pitched. He's got a low ERA at 2.93, but an xFIP of 5.44. Why? Because he's pretty wild. He walks a lot of batters. He does have some strikeout numbers against left-handed batters, but against righties hasn't done all that well. However, you take a look at Schwarber with great numbers against lefties, if that neutralizes. Castellanos, the only positive batter against left-handed pitching for the Philadelphia Phillies in that lineup today. Hate to do it. Like, the game went over yesterday, and this, San Francisco's got a pretty good lineup looking today. I think the Phillies do win, because I don't think Robbie Ray is really up to the competition as he was just a few years back. But at the same time, probably looking for an under again in Philadelphia with that low total of 7.5.
Yeah, DRS, these two teams have split the opening 2 games of this midweek set. Today, not the rubber match. There will be a 4th game come tomorrow on a Thursday. Really our last time to break down the MLB card on this Wednesday, DRS. Do any other games really stick out to you?
No, I haven't really handicapped the card overall that much. Just looking at some of those pitching matchups where you're trying to factor in, like, the Robbie Rays or the bad pitchers we just took a look at, Patrick Corbin, Bryce Miller. Yesterday was a really good card to sort of knock around pitchers, and they did that. But there's still a good 10 pitchers today with an xFIP around 4 or higher. So some things we can chew on. But again, we're talking about 15, 16, 10 innings for most of these pitchers. We got a long way to go before you can actually balance those statistics out. But it's nice to see afternoon Major League Baseball action. So all the way through today, we'll be having fun and certainly handicapping those as we go.
Yeah, 5 games in the afternoon hours in their respective spots. The Brewers and the Tigers in Milwaukee. The Twins host the New York Mets in Minnesota. The Cardinals and the Astros. And as we shared, the Padres and the Cubs. That's at 4:11 p.m. Eastern time, but of course around 1 p.m. Pacific time.